In the busy city of Los Angeles, a group of police officers found themselves in the middle of a dangerous situation. They were facing off against 4 robbers who had taken over a bank in Lincoln Heights. Inside the bank, 2 of the robbers were watching over the terrified hostages, while the other 2 were in a fierce shootout with the police. These 2 robbers had powerful guns and were wearing heavy body armor, which gave them an advantage over the police officers armed with smaller pistols. Luckily, a SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics, team was on the way to help. 2 officers, Jim and Brian, descended from a helicopter along with 2 other team members, landing on the bank's roof. They then made their way into the bank through a secret route, using a special camera to see what was happening inside. Meanwhile, a few snipers from the SWAT team positioned themselves on a nearby building's roof, while another team approached from the ground. During this tense moment, one of the robbers outside tried to escape in a getaway car but was swiftly taken down by a sharpshooter. The other robber continued to resist the police, but the ground team eventually reached him and apprehended him. Inside the bank, the 2 remaining robbers were growing anxious. The ground team sent a secure phone to a SWAT negotiator, hoping to talk to the robbers and arrange for the release of the hostages. During a robbery, despite orders to wait, Brian disobeyed and took a strategic position in the main lobby to target the robbers. As tension rose, a robber threatened a woman's life, leading Brian to take a desperate shot that hit the robber but injured the woman. Jim eliminated the last robber, and concern for the injured woman resulted in a harsh reprimand from Jim to Brian. At the police precinct, Captain Fuller, furious about their insubordination, considered removing Jim and Brian from the SWAT division, especially with the possibility of a lawsuit from the injured woman. Yet, Velasquez intervened, requesting that they remain on the team, allowing them a chance to regain their positions in the future. Captain Fuller reassigned Jim and Brian to the less prestigious cage duty after some time. This role involved managing equipment for fellow officers, which they found demeaning. Brian, unhappy with the change, voiced his frustration to Fuller, leading to a worsening situation, and he stormed out angrily. Jim hesitated but was offered a chance by Fuller to rejoin the team immediately if he reported Brian's recklessness. Brian, however, decided to quit and began packing. In a surprising turn, Jim sided with Fuller, acknowledging Brian's recklessness. This led to a heated argument, and Brian, feeling betrayed by Jim, struck his head against a mirror before departing. 6 months later, Jim continued working in the gun cage while dedicating his free time to training for a potential return to the SWAT team. One day, Sergeant Hondo visited the precinct and sought Jim's assistance with his customized M4 rifle, leaving Jim impressed by the weapon's custom features. During his visit, Hondo also met with Velasquez to discuss the LAPD's negative image in the media, which had triggered calls for departmental reform. Velasquez wanted Hondo to create a new SWAT unit, offering 2 of his officers, TJ and Michael. Hondo accepted the officers and intended to choose 3 more candidates from personnel files, with Fuller having the final say. In Jim's personal life, his girlfriend decided to move out of their apartment due to their strained relationship since he left the SWAT team. She made a final attempt to share a moment with him, but Jim declined, and she departed. The following workday, it was revealed that while on cage duty, Jim had created a new piece of equipment he hoped to patent in the future. A large hook and chain designed for breaching walls or barricades, named the Key to the City. Jim explained his invention to his cage duty partner, and to his surprise, Hondo displayed interest, recognizing Jim's creativity and praising the improvements Jim had made to his weapon. Later, Sergeant Hondo took his officers to a firing range for practice, where TJ surprisingly outperformed Hondo, resulting in a $200 bet. Hondo challenged Jim to beat TJ, and to everyone's surprise, Jim emerged as the victor, except for Hondo. Meanwhile, a French mobster named Alex arrived in Los Angeles. His knife was almost confiscated by his guards, but he retained it, claiming it as a family heirloom. After a warm welcome from his men, they provided him with a fake passport. Alex visited his uncle at a local restaurant, pretending it was a birthday surprise. In truth, Alex knew his uncle had been embezzling family funds. Following their meal, Alex swiftly killed his uncle with the knife and left him in his car. However, he was later pulled over by the police for a broken taillight. Given the car belonged to his late uncle and an arrest warrant was out for him, Alex found himself in custody for questioning and identity verification. Despite attempting to bribe the officers, he ended up in a jail cell. Back with Hondo, he recruited Jim to be his driver for the day as they searched for potential recruits. Their first stop was to investigate Officer Dickey, who was in the middle of a foot pursuit with a suspect. Hondo and Jim decided to join the chase, which resulted in them capturing the suspect. Deke was initially upset because he wanted to handle it on his own, but he warmed up to the idea when Hondo invited him to join the team. Next, they visited another candidate who left a poor first impression on Hondo. This potential recruit was a vegetarian, overly polite, and excessively strict, making him an unlikely fit for Hondo's unit. Their search led them to a Metro police officer named Chris, who had applied for SWAT multiple times but had been denied due to various misconduct complaints filed by suspects with internal affairs. Hondo discovered that Chris was short for Christina and learned that most of the charges against her resulted from resisting violent male perpetrators who couldn't accept being subdued by a woman. Hondo was impressed by her and offered her a position on his team, suspecting that Fuller's reluctance to include her on the SWAT roster was due to gender bias. Returning to headquarters, Jim questioned Hondo about the recruitment run's purpose. Hondo inquired if Jim truly wanted to join the team. Jim hesitated due to Fuller's likely disapproval. Hondo asked if Jim had reported on Brian, to which Jim admitted he hadn't. Hondo granted him the final spot on the team. During the team meeting, Fuller rejected Chris and Jim, as expected. Hondo, however, defended his choices. Fuller proposed a compromise. They would be accepted, but failing SWAT trials would result in Chris reverting to her previous role, and Jim and Hondo being removed from the force. Hondo accepted, confident in his new team's potential. Training began, allowing squad members to get to know each other better. Tensions flared when it was revealed that Jim's ex-girlfriend was Michael's sister, leading to a fight that was quickly diffused. Under Hondo's guidance, the team underwent various tests, including infiltration, armor, weapons handling, physical conditioning, and long-range shooting. Despite initial challenges, they gradually improved their performance. During a sniper session using cards as targets, the team displayed remarkable marksmanship skills. Simulation exercises in empty buildings taught them teamwork and hostage rescue techniques. Their final evaluation was a simulated hostage situation on an airplane, taken over by fellow officers portraying terrorists with paintball guns. The mission was to regain control of the aircraft within 8 minutes. Jim discovered an unexpected entry point, a small elevator shaft suitable only for Chris. The team positioned their vehicle beneath the plane and began creating an opening, while one member climbed over the roof to access a window. Chris entered the elevator shaft, detected, and defused a trap just in time. Coordinating their attack, the team eliminated all 6 hijackers with precise shots, rescuing the hostages without casualties. TJ sustained a potentially fatal hit, which, fortunately, was not real. To Fuller's frustration, the new team achieved a record-setting performance. That evening, they celebrated at Dickie's father's cafe, but after a while, most went home. Chris and Jim decided to continue their night at a bar. While enjoying more drinks, Brian unexpectedly joined them, sparking a passive-aggressive exchange with Jim before leaving and causing damage. Jim made advances toward Chris, but she politely declined, inviting him to her daughter's upcoming birthday party. Meanwhile, Alex sought legal help but found limited assistance and was eventually transferred. The next day, the team enjoyed time off, each pursuing their own interests. However, their break was interrupted by an emergency call about a hostage situation. A man had barricaded himself in his house, firing a shotgun. They used Jim's key to the city invention to tear down the back wall and neutralize the suspect, ending the standoff swiftly. Later at the sheriff's department, a deputy uncovered information about Alex's true identity, which was relayed to Velasquez. He requested Hondo's unit to intercept and escort the prison bus transporting Alex. In the meantime, Alex's gang learned about the transfer and disguised 2 men as police officers. They used a stolen police car to pull over the bus, then climbed on board, shooting the deputies before releasing Alex. As they prepared to escape, Hondo's team arrived and blocked the street. A shootout erupted when the criminals responded with gunfire. Amidst panicked civilians fleeing, the team swiftly took down the fake cops. When Alex attempted to escape in the stolen police car, they fired until it crashed and they recaptured him. Later, it was revealed that Alex was an international fugitive with a long list of crimes. Reporters closely followed his case, and, as he was led to a holding cell, Alex offered a staggering $100 million reward to anyone who could help him escape, attracting the attention of every criminal in Los Angeles. Hondo's team faced mounting frustration, knowing their job had become much harder. Initially planning to evacuate Alex via helicopter from the rooftop, a sniper unexpectedly shot down the chopper, forcing a change in strategy. They opted for a motorcade, but their journey was filled with obstacles. A gang ambush resulted in the death of a motorcycle cop and injuries to others. However, the attackers found a decoy doll instead of Alex, as part of a clever ruse to secure his escape through an underground private access area into unmarked cars parked blocks away from headquarters, with Velasquez overseeing from above. Hondo's team progressed well in moving Alex, despite his insults and offers. However, at the second checkpoint, TJ unexpectedly turned against his team and took Alex's offer. Brian, the mastermind behind the operation, appeared and shot Michael. Jim and Michael tried to reason with TJ. The team eventually split up to pursue the escaping group and rescue Jim, who had been handcuffed to the car. As they closed in on the group, Hondo and Jim missed the train. Dickie and Chris reported the train never reached the next station, so both teams investigated the end of the tunnel. They found the train abandoned midway through the tunnel, with Brian and his men gone, leaving only terrified passengers behind. They entered a storm drain opening, unintentionally cutting off police communication. Fuller discovered TJ's betrayal and suspected the team's involvement in Alex's operation. He noticed an unauthorized runway at Hawthorne Airport and dispatched all available units there. Meanwhile, the team tracked the criminals through sewer tunnels, dealing with obstacles like bats. Brian set up a booby trap, causing some tension within the team. Jim disarmed the trap just in time, but Brian's group locked the exit door. Jim used the disarmed trap to breach the gate. Communication was restored, and Hondo informed Fuller of the situation, requesting transportation. Fuller, however, ordered the team to abort the mission, no longer trusting Hondo. Ignoring the order, the team commandeered a passing limo and pursued a low-flying jet, which seemed to be Brian's escape plan. The jet landed on the 6th Street Bridge, where Brian and his men took hostages and boarded the plane. The team used the limo to reach the bridge, despite encountering gunfire at a roadblock. Hondo rammed the plane's landing gear, causing it to crash. A fierce gunfight ensued between SWAT and Brian's men, resulting in Chris getting shot in the shoulder. Dickie recaptured Alex. Brian left the plane safely using a hostage as a shield, rappelling down from the bridge. Jim pursued him, leading to a hand-to-hand fight in a train yard. After a brutal exchange, Jim managed to kick Brian's head into the path of an oncoming train, killing him. Back on the bridge, Fuller arrived to commend them for their exceptional work but reminded them that their job wasn't done. They still had Alex in custody and needed to transfer him to a federal prison. The team took a SWAT truck for the task. Later, a report of a robbery in progress came over the police band. Despite their fatigue and the end of their shift, the dedicated team headed out for their next mission.